Vampires, reanimated corpses, and a slew of ghosts. Roughly every fighting game tends to have one of these supernatural entities in their world. These are the top 10 undead fighting game characters. Cervantes. Captain Cervantes de Leon has been one of the top SoulCalibur mainstays, appearing in all the main games. He became a pirate after his father, Philip de Leon, died after an attack from a warship he mistakenly attempted to loot. He received a message from the Merchant of Death requesting him to find Soul Edge. He refused at first, but accepted to repay the merchant for artillery he gave him. Once he finds Soul Edge, it drove him deep into madness and eventually devoured his entire soul. He proceeded to slaughter his entire crew, board his ghost ship the Adrian, and continued his rampaging massacre for 20 more years. He would then eventually be stopped and killed by the combined efforts of Sophitia and Taki. Cervantes would then be inadvertently resurrected by Nightmare due to fragments of Soul Edge that had been deep-seated into his body. He would rekindle his search for Soul Edge despite knowing it had stolen his free will. He then became dependent on absorbing souls after Soul Edge fragments that had bound his body crumbled. He even absorbed the soul of his daughter, Ivy, but she survived due to her artificial soul. She retaliated and defeated her father, releasing all the souls he consumed, including her own. He would eventually be freed from Soul Edge's power after being released by Astral Chaos, a dimensional rift opened by Soul Edge, and being at the peak of his power. Eliza. One of the newer characters in the Tekken franchise, Eliza is also Tekken's first and only vampire in the series. Debuting in Tekken Revolution, Eliza has an interesting backstory in that she suffers from narcolepsy. She climbed into a coffin intending to simply take a nap, but instead ended up sleeping for 600 years. Upon awakening from this long sleep, her vampiric powers had fully depleted. She then began to drink the blood of her numerous victims in hopes of regaining her powers. Unfortunately for her, this did not work. She then hunts Claudio Serafino for his blood, and stemming from issues she had with the Archers of Sirius, of whom Claudio is a descendant. The Archers of Sirius are a clan of exorcists set on banishing supernatural creatures from the world. Eliza's sleeping issues even impeded upon her objection to Lily's claim that they are siblings.
Caesar? Yeah, right. I was born 1,000 years and 4 months ago. You're about a millennium too young to be...
Hey!
Like I was saying, I slept a few centuries beneath your estate and...
While she fights with a grace similar to that of Lily, Eliza's fighting style does have vampiric elements. She has certain moves involving sucking blood, which allows her to regain health. Also unique with Eliza's fighting style are SNK-esque projectiles and a pretty mean dive kick. Also, her narcolepsy does tend to kick in during battle. Rachel Alucard. Appearing in all the main games in the series, Rachel Alucard is arguably the most prominent vampire in the Blazblue series. Rachel became the head of her family upon the death of the Alucard family patriarch Clovis. She has been shown to be one of the most powerful characters in the series, being able to match up with the likes of the vicious Yuki Terumi. She's usually accompanied by her servants, Nagao and Gi, whom are so loyal to her that they are willing to take battle damage for her. Contrary to typical vampiric characteristics, Rachel despises drinking blood and prefers tea. Despite this, she did drink Ragnar's blood once, but more as a means to save his life after having his arm cut off by his brother Jin. She drank it to reduce the bleeding, allowing him to live. Rachel does have a unique likeness of immortality, being a chronophantasma, a phantom of time. This is a title for beings who do not possess a future nor a fate. It has even been suggested that Nagao is in umbrella form most of the time to shield Rachel from sunlight. Hisako. Hisako is an onryo, a Japanese spirit that has drifted from purgatory to exact vengeance on those who have wronged them in their lifetime. She was born Chiharu and was the eldest daughter of a Ronin warrior. Being descendants of a famed Onabu geisha, Chiharu's father instilled the art of war in her. Though she was adept with a bow and arrow, she preferred the naginata, which her father said she could inherit when he died. Chiharu would then be approached by a traveling aristocrat when she was 19 years old. He taunted her about her mud-stained feet, but was actually enamored by her and asked her to marry him. She rejected him with a laugh, which caused the aristocrat to attack her. Chiharu fended him off easily, and he departed. Some days later, her village would be attacked by invaders. Chiharu discovered that her entire family had been murdered. She fought off the attacking invaders until she conceded to her wounds and died. The final vision that she saw was of the aristocrat who made advances on her, looking down on her, smiling. The surviving villagers would then cremate Chiharu's remains and build a shrine in honor of her. Ultratech's creation, Arya, would defile her shrine, disturbing Chiharu's rest, and thus she was reborn as Hisako. With her ghostly, distorted aura and eerie demeanor, Hisako can be a fearsome presence. She retains her naginata skills, but additionally has some supernatural power. She can possess her opponents, and usually contorts their bodies into disturbing, excruciating forms. She even opens her mouth, revealing her sharp teeth as she sucks in opponents closer to her in order to attack them. Hsien-Ko. Also a villager whose home had been the victim of an attack, Hsien-Ko and her twin sister Mei Ling were devastated at the loss of their dear mother. To prepare themselves to fight the Darkstalkers who had attacked their village, they performed a forbidden spell, Igyo Tenshin no Jutsu. This spell transformed Hsien-Ko into a Jiangshi, a Chinese vampire usually dressed in Qing Dynasty official garments. They thrive on the chi of living beings to sustain themselves. Her sister Mei Ling took the form of the golden parchment that hangs off her hat. This fu, or ward, helps to suppress and control the darker side of Hsien-Ko, building up inside of her. Jingshi are known to move around with their arms stretched out front due to extreme stiffness, which explains Hsien-Ko's fighting stance. Jingshis are known to hop around, thus explaining Hsien-Ko's main method of movement. Among other strange things, Hsien-Ko is known for her shifty, jittery movement while in her fighting stance. Despite the eerie nature of Jingshi, Hsien-Ko is actually very good-hearted and respectful. She opposes evil and is quite protective of those she considers special. However, her darker side holds quite a grudge against demons and those who hurt the innocent. Hsien-Ko has somewhat of an internal battle, fearing the thought of the darker side of the Jingshi overtaking her. Noob Saibot. Bi-Han was the first Sub-Zero in the beginning of the original Mortal Kombat timeline. He had a reputation for being the most cunning and thieving assassin in the Lin Kuei clan. Being invited to the Mortal Kombat tournament, his main mission was to assassinate the host Shang Tsung, as the Lin Kuei had been offered a contract for the sorcerer's head. Bi-Han failed his mission and instead ended up being burned to death by Scorpion. Weighed down by the corruption in his soul, he descended into the fifth plane of the Netherrealm. There he would become the Wraith, Noob Saibot. He became a member of the Brotherhood of Shadow, an unholy cult headed by the sorcerer Quan Chi, which ironically was the thing he vehemently resisted becoming while alive. In the current timeline, Raiden attempts to prevent this event from repeating itself. In convincing Scorpion to spare Sub-Zero's life, he offered to request the Elder Gods return the Shirai Ryu to the realm of mortals. Scorpion agrees and defeats Bi-Han after dragging him into the Netherrealm. Quan Chi would then appear and show Scorpion illusions of the Lin Kuei slaughtering his clan, including his wife and child. Enraged, Scorpion once again burns Bi-Han to death, despite dismissing that it was him in Quan Chi's visuals. Demitri Maximoff. This power-hungry vampire was initially slated to be the protagonist of the Darkstalkers series. However, the spot was given to Morgan due to being a bit more popular than Demitri. Interestingly, this isn't the only aspect in which they rival each other, as their respective families have been in a long-time battle over the rule of the Makai dimension. This war resulted in Demitri getting banished to the human world as he was defeated by Morgan's father. In the human realm, he secluded himself in a coffin for 50 years inside his castle to regain his strength. To combat the sunlight, he coated his castle with his supernatural powers. He would step out occasionally to attack intruders and turn them into servants. After regaining a great amount of strength after defeating the alien Pyron, Demitri felt confident that he could avenge his loss from years ago. Upon returning to Makai, he finds out that Morgan had inherited the reign over the Makai. Just before he was about to engage in combat with her, he and his castle were sucked into Jedha's realm, the Majikan. Demitri would then seek to make a deal with Jedha for help in this pursuit. While Demitri saw humans as inferior species, he found the taste of their blood stimulating. This was especially the case with virgin women and those with AB blood types. This could explain the signature move that Demitri is known for, Midnight Bliss. This move, should it land, will have Demitri transform his opponent into a form which he finds more desirable before sucking their blood. If the opponent is female, they will turn into a more arousing version of themselves. If the opponent is male, they will transform into a female version of themselves. This move has had some comedic undertones to it, especially when done to characters outside of Darkstalkers.
Come on, baby.
Slayer. From a vicious, malicious vampire to a more classy vampire. This isn't to say Slayer won't engage or even enjoy combat. He is the first, and so far the only vampire in the Guilty Gear series. He is the founder of the Assassin's Guild, whose purpose was to punish those who considered themselves above the law. He returned to his castle as he was tired of life on Earth. When he decides to come out of hiding, he found that his guild had veered far from the ideals he founded it upon. Thus, he was set on destroying it, or as he put it, tidy things up. Slayer's source of blood comes from his wife Sharon, who is apparently immortal. She survived being completely drained of blood from her husband multiple times. Slayer even possesses the ability to draw out a person's blood or life force by a mere touch in his EX form. While he doesn't use weapons like most other Guilty Gear casts, Slayer is considered to be one of the strongest characters in said world, despite never being seen at his full potential. Slayer is known for certain unique mannerisms, one of which is his losing pose. Unlike other characters, Slayer isn't knocked out when he loses. Instead, he lays down tired and annoyed. Also, he's known for his instant kill, in which he hits the opponent with an uppercut so powerful, it launches them into space. Slayer shows his love for haiku as he recites one as the opponent flies away. Spinal. One of Killer Instinct's signature characters, Spinal is an undead, reanimated skeleton of a pirate warrior. Said to be found between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, Spinal was a closely guarded secret of Ultratech, being resurrected through their cell regeneration experiments. Only thoughts of combat infest his mind, as only vague memories of his past remain intact. Insanity clouts his mind because of the Mask of the Ancients, an artifact used by a Babylonian king to curse Spinal. The mask grants him great power and immortality, but in addition to the insanity, it also forces Spinal to be obedient to the bearer. Ultratech took advantage of this, using it to place Spinal into their hands. Among Ultratech's creations, Spinal found himself in the shadow of others such as Fulgor and Raptor, as he initially proved to be unreliable and ineffective. Thus, Spinal looked to prove himself. Spinal retains much of his swordsmanship he had when he was alive, along with his weaponry he's also enhanced with magical abilities. Being undead himself, Spinal also appears to have command of the dead, manipulating ghostly skull projectiles and skeletal arms. He also possesses the abilities of teleportation and energy absorption, the latter of which he uses to empower his own attacks. Also, who could forget that unforgettable laughter? Scorpion. Arguably the most popular undead character in all of fighting games, Scorpion's had a hell of a history. Hanzo Hasashi joined the Shirai Ryu against his father's wishes to provide a better life for his wife and child. Exhibiting incredible ninja skills, he earned the name Sasori, Scorpion in Japanese, due to his incredibly fast and deadly fighting ability. He would one day receive a mission from the sorcerer Quan Chi to steal the sacred map of elements from the Order of Light's Shaolin Temple. Scorpion would clash and eventually be murdered by the elder Sub-Zero, Bi-Han. The Lin Kuei would then murder Scorpion's family and the rest of the Shirai Ryu clan as a payment to Quan Chi. Hanzo's soul was sent to the Netherrealm, where he laid waste, and eventually was reborn as the Hellspawn, Scorpion. He would eventually return to Earthrealm seeking to exact his revenge on Sub-Zero. This rivalry would define much of Scorpion's story throughout the many Mortal Kombat games, with both parties possibly coming to a resolution in Mortal Kombat X. As mentioned earlier, Scorpion is known for being swift and deadly in battle. He has the ability to teleport, used in an assassin's way of surprising and ambushing enemies. Being a specter, Scorpion is immune to death, with his soul being bound by revenge, making him able to endlessly engage in combat. Being reborn in the Netherrealm, he also has the ability to command Hellfire. He can summon it from the ground, spew it from his skull, and even enhance his punches and kicks with it. His specter powers depend on his own emotional pain. When unleashed at his peak, he could become surrounded by Hellfire, increasing his powers to level exceeding that of deities like Raiden. Also, Scorpion can become strengthened by the length of time he stays in the Netherrealm. Nevertheless, even with such a devastating arsenal, Scorpion is, and will always be well known by most, for his signature move and its accompanying catchphrase. Spawning many homages, parodies, and even some cameos, Scorpion is one of the most iconic characters in fighting games. On April 20th, 2010, NetherRealm Studios was founded, succeeding WB Games Chicago and Midway Games. Further adding to the extent of his legacy, Scorpion was chosen as the company's mascot, appearing in NetherRealm Studios' logo.